Hi, it's Angie with News OK. We're back in Sherrel Jones' kitchen, who is our passion for food columnist for the Oklahoman. Cinco De Mayo is upon us, which means festivities all around the city, but we have a great dessert that you might want to have on your Cinco De Mayo celebration.
Yes, one of the most special desserts we think of is the Mexican flan. It's actually one of the most elegant desserts. And It has a nice creamy texture of custard, and then it has a caramelized sugar liquid that coats it all very nicely.
And
it sort of cooks
caramel flan or a flan?
This is a flan, a Mexican flan.
Okay.
And right now I'm doing the very first step, which if you read a recipe for it, it might look a little intimidating if you see that you have to caramelize sugar before you do anything else, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know how to do that. Well, we put 3/4 of a cup of sugar in the pan with a 1/4 cup of water to get it to start melting. And what I do is I stir it until the
starts boiling?
Until it starts boiling. And I like to put a little bit of corn syrup in. That helps some of this problem with crystallizing sugar around the edge. It's sort of like the process you go through when you make some candies is like this. And so you do stir it until the sugar dissolves. And you can tell because it'll get very clear. Right now it's sort of white, and you can see the little granules of sugar.
All right.
So when it gets clear, we want to just leave it alone and let it brown.
So let's let it boil.
Okay. Now it's just starting to turn, and now is the point where you must watch it very carefully because it tends to brown very quickly at this point. So you want to watch it carefully. You don't want to get it too brown, but the darker you get it, the more flavor, obviously, of the caramel molten sugar that it is.
All right, now that looks good. It's definitely a lot darker.
Now you see it even smoking. It's and it's continuing to darken in the pan. I'm going to pour a little in my custard cups, and I'm using these clear cups today so that you can see it better. I don't have to pour quite that much. I got a little carried away there.
So it's caramelized at this point.
And I like to sort of roll it around in the cup once I get it in there. We'll just do a few of these so you can kind of see. And you can smell it, can't you? It smells a little like cotton candy or something. And a little. This pan, because it's so thick, it's continuing to cook.
There we go.
This did 5 cups, nice and thick. And you just soak the pan to clean it in warm water. And what I like to do now, it's still sizzling even. This is very, very hot.
So you just kind of...
Yeah, just hold it carefully and rotate it around. Let it kind of coat the dish. It doesn't have to go all the way up, but just part way up. And all this nice molten stuff will make the sauce to our
smells good.
Custard.
So like you said, it's actually kind of burnt.
Yes, it is. It's actually burnt. That's what caramel is burnt sugar or burnt sugar and butter. In France, they call this crème de caramel. But meaning that the creamy custard is planted inside the caramel, and see, the longer that sits, the thicker that little layer of caramel is inside the dish. And I do this in ramekins most often because, first of all, they're a little bit smaller portions, and I get more little mini custards out of it.
That's a good idea.
But I thought for today's purposes, we could see what's happening easier inside of the dish if we did it this way. And see, when we make our custard, we'll just pour that inside and bake it in there.
So where do we go from here?
From here, we're going to make our custard, finish making our custard, and then we'll put it in a bain-marie in the oven.
All right. All right, Sherrel, what are we doing this time?
Okay, this is a mixture of, this is the custard, and we're going to bake it inside of this. And I like to strain it in the process, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute. I just go back and forth with this and then do it.
And then you add
I add a little, at the end, I'm going to add a little bit of rum, and you can add up to 1/4 of a cup with the proportions that we have here. And this is vanilla.
Oh yes, you gotta have your vanilla.
Oh yeah, and I actually used some of the approved Mexican vanilla in this, so we can do It's
where can you find that?
You can kind of find it down by the stockyards. There's a I think it's not an all Mexican market, but they have a lot of Mexican products in there, and they have.
So you said you can actually freeze this?
You can freeze this, and when we get the custard made, you can actually freeze it in your ice cream freezer if you want. So you could have this sort of orange rum vanilla custard ice cream, which is kind of fun.
All right.
So I'm gonna keep mixing the egg mixture while I pour the hot milk mixture over it.
You want me to do this part?
You can.
Looks like you have your hands
Just keep stirring. What you don't want to do, you want to pour it slowly and keep the egg mixture moving because you don't want it to have little pieces of scrambled egg in your custard.
Right.
And we're going to take care of any chance of that happening by straining the mixture.
Okay.
If you keep doing that while I get my strainer.
All right.
I'm going to pour it, I'm going to use the pan again. This is kind of a back and forth here because I didn't plan well enough.
So
actually.
now we just...
And so I'm going to put it back in here for a second. Now I don't have to cook it anymore because it's going to cook in the oven.
Okay.
And then I'm going to, now see on the edges here where we started pouring that in, you can see some little bit of debris there. So I'm going to put my strainer in here, and then I'm just going to pour this back in there, and this makes an extra smooth custard, the straining. You get those little bits of egg out of it. And I like to put it in a dish that has a pour spout. Now some pans, in my other kitchen I have a pan that has a pour spout, but I didn't have it with me today. So I'm using a Pyrex container. Well, I'm going to just take this and fill it almost to the top.
Okay.
Just like that.
Wow.
And that...
And then do you put them in the refrigerator?
No, I'm going to put it in the oven.
Okay.
And we'll bake it in a pan that has water in it.
Huh. So you put these little cups in the pan that has water.
With water, and we're going to fill that. Now, when you read this in a recipe, it's going to sound like, oh my gosh, I can't make this. It's too much trouble. I can't do it. It's really not. It's just some simple steps, and if you just follow them, it'll work beautifully for you.
Wow.
We'll have a nice smooth custard inside our cups. And I want to top those off after I get them in the oven. What I like to do...
How long do you put it in the oven?
Oh, it takes about 30 or 35 minutes.
And about what
Now look at this. You can see, this is why I put them in the clear cups today. The caramel is really all in here. And the custard just sits on top of that.
And what's the temperature for the oven?
325. Okay. And we're going to give this custard a nice head start and keep the sugar from burning anymore by putting hot boiling water in the pan around it. And I like to, what I like to do to bake it, I like to put it in the pan like this. Okay. And then when I pull the oven door open in the middle shelf, then I pour the hot boiling water into the pan so I don't have to carry boiling water from the cabinet down because it's a prescription for disaster. And then once the water's in place, then I top off the little custard cups with the mixture.
Then
so
after
it works
they're done
great.
in the oven, do you need to put them in the refrigerator?
Well, what you want to do is
let them sit out?
Well, I just turn off the oven and I let them sit there till this water, all this cools down and it's all cool enough to handle. Okay. Then I put them in the refrigerator to chill thoroughly, and I usually after that will put a piece of saran wrap or plastic wrap over the top because egg custards absorb refrigerator odors very easily.
So you definitely want to keep that away.
If some major chefs sometimes take an egg and put it with truffles so that the egg assumes the taste of these beautiful truffles.
All right, well, so this is wonderful. Obviously a great idea for Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, yes.
And you've got the full recipe in the newspaper today.
In the newspaper today. And, I should get one out of the refrigerator that I've already done and show you how to plate it.
Okay, so this is the finished product. It's been in the refrigerator for a while. Yes,
now you could serve it just like this, and people could have the little surprise of the caramel underneath. You can serve it chilled or at room temperature or slightly warm if you want it, whichever way you like.
Just cut this out if you want to take it out?
What I'm going to do is just go around the edge because, we didn't oil the sides or anything.
Interesting. Wow.
I'm just going to go around the edge all the way to where the caramel is. I can feel the caramel down underneath.
Right.
Is sort of, and then I'm going to invert a plate on the top. Now you'd do the same if you did it in a pie plate and you had it so that you were going to serve it in pie-shaped wedges. I like to do that, and then I just kind of do this. Now some people like to, now watch it not come out. It would be like the thing that works. It's coming loose.
Oh, work with us. Work with
Come
us.
on, caramel. It's kind of has its own little suction in there.
There is
so then
your
you
finished
see,
product flan. It looks so good.
Now, if it had been perfect, you would have worried if you're stuck to it like this. So it's good that that kind of happened, because sometimes it does. Healthy tricks, and so one of them is to use a tiny spoon to sample. Is it good?
Very good.
Very good. Do you like the little bit of rum and
I know
orange?
you can taste that.
Yes.
And
yes.
the orange.
Oh, yeah.
It's very nice. I definitely feel like I could go celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Very good. Well, happy Cinco de Mayo.
Definitely. And find her
5th of
whole
May.
recipe in the Oklahoman in the Life section under the Passion for Food column. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Angie.